Hi friends, welcome to episode 46 of Last Stitch Effort. My name is Pacasha and this is my little knitting podcast about using up my stash. I also like to spin, I like to sew, primarily knitting. That's what you're going to find here. So thanks for joining me today. I'll have all of my information below. I don't do links mainly because a lot of my knitting links would be to Ravelry and not everybody is comfortable using Ravelry for various reasons. So that is primarily how I deal with my knitting and patterns and things of that sort, and where I keep track of everything. But I respect the fact that that doesn't work for everybody. So anyway, I'll have that information below and where you can find me on Ravelry and on Instagram. So let's just get to it. Finished objects. I just moved everything around and now I don't know where they are. Anyway, the first thing is my Pinafore, my Petrichor Pinafore by Sew Liberated. This fabric, I would stand up and show you, but you're really not going to get much of a view. It's kind of crowded back here. But yeah, this is a cotton linen blend from Fluid+Drape, and I believe that they're sold out of it now, but they do have some other cute fabrics. Yeah, so it's just hot pink with tomatoes. And it's just a little apron dress with some cute pockets, and I love it. And you can get a full shot on Instagram. I haven't posted it yet, but I have taken a picture of it. So that's what I'm wearing today. Oh, I just dropped some stuff that probably is going to be pretty messy to figure out. I will start with a finished spin. So, you know, Tour de Fleece is coming up. And I finished 8 ounces of Corriedale from Quillin, I think it's Quillin Fiber Arts. I'm not sure. Quillin anyway. I'll have the information below. I'm not sure this colorway, but I was told it was a colorway that she does often. It just wasn't written on the actual tag. She had sent some of her fiber to be sold at our local Renaissance fair, so I picked that up. I know she has an Etsy shop, and she also does a market in Las Cruces, which is a few hours from me. But yeah, it was nice to have some local fiber, like actually in my town, fiber to buy. So this is just a 2-ply. I didn't do any color like management. I just did 4 ounces on each bobbin and then plied them together. So there's a little bit of barber pulling and there's some matchups, and I don't know, be cute. I haven't washed it obviously or thwacked it or anything, so I don't really know the proper weight it will turn out to be, or how much yardage I have. So I'll keep you updated when I decide to use that. Or actually probably next episode I'll show you the finished skein and give you some more like the specs of it. But Corriedale is one of my favorite fibers to work with. So let me see if I can find a place to put this. Kind of redid, this is the second time recording, so things got moved around a bit. I did finish 2 other projects. Oh, here they are. Sorry for reaching out of frame. I don't know why that bothers people. It doesn't bother me, but sorry if it does. I left my sock blockers elsewhere, so I'll just hold these up. These are socks for my daughter, Nayo. I'm making her a bunch of socks to take to college, or to send her while she's at college. And these are Desert Vista Dyeworks, and the colorway is Ready Player One. It was based on the original book cover for Ready Player One, which I enjoyed reading. Maybe the movie not as much, but I enjoyed the book anyway. And then I just used leftover, I think it's Ficolana Arwetta. I don't remember what color. Just so I didn't mess up the striping too much. And they are pretty, they're not close, they're not matched at all. I don't know why I thought that they were, but I did try to not match them on purpose, and then they kind of ended up getting pretty close to a matchy pair, but that's okay. I don't care about that sort of thing. I just like to knit, and more importantly, my daughter doesn't care about that sort of thing, and these are for her. So if she cared, I would make more of an effort. I also finished this little cowl. I'm gonna put it on and it'll probably give me a hot flash, so forgive me if I get a little flushed. This was just a local alpaca farmer to us. Well, in the Santa Fe Taos region. The Taos used to have a yarn festival, fiber festival, and then it got moved to Santa Fe, and I don't remember what it's called now. But they have a bunch of like little local farmers, like, you know, ranchers, whatever, as these places typically do. And I picked up some alpaca that was mixed with a bamboo viscose, which is these little turquoise bits that you can see here. And I just knit until I ran out of yarn. So it's just 2x2. I don't remember how many I cast on, but I knew I cast on so it would be nice and big and whatever. Yeah, and then I just worked until I kind of guessed, and it was close enough to make the same length or depth of ribbing, and then just straight knitting and then more ribbing. And you can see like I have some like strings hanging out. I haven't blocked this yet. So what I do is I typically weave in the ends, and then after blocking, after everything settles into its nice snuggly home, then I'll come back through and I'll trim things up. But I haven't done that yet. So this was just a quick little thing. Just, I knew I wanted to use up the fiber or the yarn, and it was just an easy thing to knit while I'm watching movies and things like that. Yeah, so I thought it was really pretty. Turned out really good. I wish I could remember the name of the place. I know that they didn't really have an internet presence, but you know, if you're going to these little festivals, it's important to grab those skeins while you can, especially if they come with like a tag that shows like, you know, the animal's name that the fiber comes from and stuff. I think that's so charming. And anyway, yeah, so that's all my finished stuff. So I'll show you works in progress. I'll show you the one that I dropped first because the ball of yarn has fallen. So this is half a sock. I do have the other one in entirety, so you know, we're halfway through the second sock. This is Laines du Nord Infinity sock. So it's made to make a matching pair. It did take some work to get to that. It wasn't like, I think Arnie and Carlos, some of their yarn, maybe it's a Regia, I'm not sure, where it's easy to match up your socks. This one wasn't that easy to match up to me, for me to find the place to start for matchy socks, but that's all right. It really didn't take that long once I decided that that's what I wanted to do. Yeah, so I don't really know where the second sock is. Well, this is the second sock. I don't really know where the first finished sock is. I'm kind of afraid to move things or I'll have an avalanche, but anyway, that's a work in progress. I also have been working on a sweater for my daughter. Oh, look, here it is. So this is what the other one will look like too. So nice fat stripes and then little skinny stripes. And yeah, and I haven't obviously woven in those ends yet either, but I'll do it when I'm finished. So yeah. This is a sweater that I'm making for my daughter. And it's called the Snarravoe by Gudrun Johnston. I don't ever say that loud enough for it to register. But this is from her Shetland Traders book number 2. I'm making the second size, so it will fit her kind of nicely. This is for my daughter, if I haven't mentioned that. And I did add another inch to the yoke without increasing anymore. I just added some depth, just because we felt that that would have fit her how she wanted it to fit. So we did make that a little bit deeper, and all I did was just keep going without adding the increases in the pattern. This yarn is Stitch Please by Premier Yarns. That one. And it's 100% wool. It doesn't say what kind, but that's okay. It's not superwash or anything. She also wanted some more length in the body too. And it's working up really nicely. It's quite squishy. I could see if maybe you're only used to merino, maybe it might be slightly coarse to you, but to me, I think it's a nice little workhorse, and usually we wear shirts under our sweaters anyway. Yeah, so I'm on the first sleeve, and it's zooming right along, and it's a really enjoyable pattern to work with. It's very straightforward and simple. It could make a good first sweater. Gudrun's patterns are always very clear and concise, and you can tell she puts a lot of work into making it that way. I've been a tester for her but in the past, and she writes good patterns. Yeah, so I'm enjoying that. And then I have also worked on the Nectar blanket. Let's see, there you go, by Isolde Teague. And what that is, which I've talked about it before, but oh gosh, avalanche over here. Basically you work a whole bunch of these little hexagons and block them out and seam them together, and it makes a beautiful blanket. And I am using a color changing yarn called Curiosity by King Cole, and it's a DK. I got it from Lovecrafts, I believe, or Wool Warehouse. Probably Wool Warehouse, actually. Yes, that's what it looks like. Curiosity by King Cole. And this colorway, I believe, is called Mother of Pearl. And Naya really likes gray. You know, her other sweater's gray too. Gray and pink. So yeah, so I made several little hexagons. I'm getting close to the halfway mark. I think I've kind of decided that it's going to be more of a large throw versus an actual, like, covering the whole bed, twin extra long, whatever. Like, I want it to be something that she uses all the time, not just in college. So yeah, so this is a super, I think it's no, it's an acrylic. Doesn't matter if it's super wash or not. I did want to make it easy for her to deal with when she gets to college and has to wash things and things like that. So I'm a yarn snob typically, but in this case, I'm enjoying this yarn. It's making a beautiful blanket. All the little pieces, the color changes are really long, so there's not like drastic color changes in all the little hexagons. So it's going to be interesting when I start piecing it together, how that's going to work out. But yeah, so I probably got 4 or 5 little hexagons done in the last couple of weeks. They do take a long time to do, but they are quite enjoyable to do it. I had kind of made up my mind that it was a pain at one point, and I kind of stalled a little bit on the project, which is why it's not done. But really it is quite nice once you get into the swing of things. I'm using this little, I'll show you, this little chart holder by Knit Picks. Yeah, it just kind of holds like your chart and your instructions, and it has little magnets so you can keep track of things, and it's pretty, like, things don't move around and pieces of paper don't get lost, cats don't sit on it and it messes it up or anything like that. So I do highly recommend getting one of these if you like working from charts and paper. If you print out your patterns or whatever. I do prefer paper patterns or patterns in books versus patterns on my tablet. Mainly because I'm using my tablet to watch something or to listen to something, and yeah, it's just easier for me. Easier to take it around to places too, because sometimes there's not the best Wi-Fi in this town or in the places that we like to go. Sometimes. So let's see. I also have another pair of socks that's just kind of, I was just goofing around. I'm using leftovers to make this pair. This is Gnome Acres Birdie Bots, sorry. Just a Harry Potter reference. And we don't really have to talk about that any more than we need to, but I did have leftovers from a full sock that I think I talked about last time. And I'm pairing it with Yarnsmith, just like a teal color. It's not matchy-matchy, but it doesn't matter too much to me. And I am doing the Broken Seed Stitch socks. I don't remember the designer's name, but essentially you have, like, let me show you right here. You have like a plain knit row and then a textured row. So it just kind of breaks up color work, and it's a good way to use up little bits of leftover yarn, which is my favorite thing to do. So this is kind of gross. Like, I went to Michael's and I got some charms, and this is like a little tooth on a charm. Oh. Well, it was just a little, yeah, I guess you could call it a charm, and then I just added the little hook to it so it could be a stitch marker or progress keeper anyway. Okay, so that's all the stuff that I actually have on my needles right now. We have Tour de Fleece coming up, and this Tour de Fleece, I have a long-term spin project which I've talked about before. Basically, I have 8 ounces of Lanthorn from Hello Yarn Fiber Club. I believe it's a BFL, and I'm plying it with, or I will be plying it with 8 ounces of a BFL from Southern Cross Fibers, who is no longer dyeing, but Hello Yarn does. And so it's going to be a full pound of fiber that I'm spinning. I've done the first 8 ounces, no problems, and I'm about 3 ounces into the next 8 ounces. It's just a long spin. It's lace weight, so the plies are super thin. And it's actually quite discouraging at times. I feel like I make a lot of progress, but then I look down and it just looks like I have the same amount of fiber that I started with, and even though I'd been spinning for 2 or 3 hours, and it's going to be an exhausting spin. So because that was taking so long, that's when I just decided to take a break and do this one. And I think for spring break, for Tour de Fleece, I would like to continue with that, but I'm also pulling out something fun. I have 2 of these patchwork kits from Hello Yarn. So basically what Adrienne does is the little bits that are left over for dyeing for her her monthly clubs, or just if she's just experimenting with future clubs, things like that, just any little leftovers get thrown into these 1 pound little bags, and you kind of don't know what you're getting. She'll give you an idea of like the colors when you buy them, but you don't really know like the fiber content or anything. So I'm just going to kind of sort through and put together like the softer ones, the things that might be more like merino or next to skin, versus longer wools that are slightly coarser, just because they spin differently and they ply differently. Like it makes a different yarn completely, long wools versus short staples. Yeah, so I might divide those up and kind of just make a few crazy experimental skeins. We'll see what happens there. The last patchwork kit I got a lot of really cool usable yarn from. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So I'll probably be working on that. I also, because I'm coming to the end of the sweater, I will be casting on a sweater for Mark soon, but we'll talk about that in a second. I do like to try to knit with some hand spun during Tour de Fleece too, and for a while I'd been talking about making a night shift, and I spun a whole bunch of fiber, mainly from Hello Yarn and Southern Cross, because those are the ones that I've had clubs with in the past. And I'll just take a few of these out to show you. I've shown them before on the podcast. So I have, like several colorways, and I think they're all merinos. And just like weird little bits of whatever. So I'd like to make the Night Shift shawl by Andrea Mowry, so I'll be casting that on. Finally, after months, I'll be doing that soon. Now I do have more. I have 8 ounces of this color. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a a Hello yarn. So this, so if you don't know, the night shift, it starts out small and then it gets bigger. So practically it makes sense to use up the small little bits that were just left on the bobbins in the smaller parts, because you'll get a lot, you'll be able to get a bigger chunk of that color of just the small bits at the smaller part versus at the end where it's very long rows, and then it'll just be short little blips, which is fine. I have no problem with that. But I do like to plan my spins where I use up the yarn the best way that I know how. So I'll use up all the little bits, and this will be the last color because I have the most of it. But I'm also hoping that I can use up all of that and have lots of leftovers, because I find that this color looks really, really nice with this color of Stitch Please. And I think that they'll be kind of similar when they knit up gauge wise, because my hand spun is usually quite a bit denser than commercial. I try really hard not to, but you know, whatever. But anyway, this is going to be, we'll move on. This is going to be a sweater, sorry, for Mark. I think we're going to do Single Malt by Maxim Cyr, or possibly he really likes Nayo's Snarravoe. So I will possibly knit him just, I'll make up a sweater based on like Ann Budd's sweater books. It's the Knitter's Handy Book of Top-Down Sweaters or something. Anyway, I'll make something up with a twisted rib if he would prefer that versus the Single Malt by Maxim Cyr. So this color is olive juice, I don't know. But it's a nice green, and I know I have 10 skeins of this, and I'll probably only use 8, so I'll have a significant amount of this. So I thought if I had a lot left over of this and a lot left over of this, that I could do some really nice vest or shawl or something. I do try to think ahead of when I know I'm going to have leftovers, what I can do with them. And the most effective way to use the most yardage so I get the biggest projects out of, I just try to be very practical and use my stash in a way that's not just little bits here and there, and then I have things that I don't have enough to do anything with. So on that note also, I'm going to have like 5 skeins of Stitch Please, the All Bats Are Off, which is what I'm using for Nayo's Snarravoe. And I'm planning on making New Grange by Lucy Haig. I believe that's who the designer is, but it's kind of a cool little swirled, it's based on like pictographs or something, I don't know, like stone carvings in England, like Stone Age type, or maybe Bronze Age, I'm not sure, like the carved stone stuff that whatever. To me, it reminds me of the Mystics and the Dark Crystal, who, I love them. But anyway, it's kind of a swirl design. And if you notice the artwork on the Mystics, like their whole culture like has like a very soft and swirly vibe to it. So to me, it's going to be like a Mystics shawl. I'm such a Dark Crystal fan, like since I was a very small child, and probably too young to watch it because it is a bit of a creepy story for little ones. But yeah, anyway, that's what I'm going for. I know it has historical like and cultural like relevance, but to me it reminds me of puppets that I love. So I'm gonna have enough to make that shawl. So that is another future project upcoming, but no big rush. But I am trying to hold that in my mind. I have it written down also, just in case, because things slip out of here all the time. Just so I don't use this up in some other, like if I make a hat and then only have 4 skeins left or whatever. I do want a nice big squishy not Skeksis shawl. Not a Skexy. I'm a mystic. Yeah. So that kind of talks a little bit about future plans. Anyway, so that's what I'm planning on knitting and spinning for Tour de Fleece. And yeah, and just a little glimpse into how I like to think about my leftovers. I do like to use up all the little bits of yarn in my stash. So I like scrappy things, but I really, really like it when I can plan effectively and find patterns that are kind of don't really have a set ending, or you can keep going and add all the little bits so you don't have awkward amounts left over. Because Lord knows I have a lot of awkward amounts in this mess back behind me. I also, I just happen to have a fat quarter of this beautiful fabric, which is a William Morris. I think it's by Free Spirit. Anyway, I had a fat quarter of this, and I had this yarn kind of next to it, and I noticed that it went really, really well together. And this yarn was a gift from my friend Alicia, who went to the Spin Cycle Mill and came back with, I think it's Bombolini is the color, I'm not sure. And she's like, these are your colors, and they're great. I love them. They are my colors. I like them. I just don't really know. I didn't really have a plan for it, which, I mean, I rarely have a plan for my yarn, so that's nothing bad. But yeah, it went so well with this little fat quarter, so I ordered more of this fiber, and I'm going to make another Petrichor pullover, or Petrichor apron, whatever, Pinafore. And I'm planning on maybe doing like just a few bands of color work in this color on like a cardigan, because I do like to wear cardigans with just about everything. So yeah, so that's my plan with that. They just happen to be sitting nearby, so I thought I would show you. It is, buying something to use something from my stash, and I may even need to buy another skein or two of this, but I don't know. I think I can make something work with just an accent. So, and then I do also plan on starting my Yell by Marie Wallen. So that's kind of a lot of lofty goals coming up, but it's good to get it out there, so then maybe you guys can hold me accountable if I go a little crazy and do something else. But I think that's all I have to say. I hope that was clear what I was talking about using up things effectively, or I don't really know the right word. Not practical. I guess it is practical, but I'm thinking of a different word and it's not coming to my brain, so that's about right for me. Anyway, that's all I have to talk about today. Today's 4th of July, so happy Independence Day for those of you who celebrate. I usually don't, because I usually don't celebrate any holidays, but anyway, I hope you're well. I will hopefully talk to you soon and have some things to show you. And yeah, if you're working on anything cool, let me know below. If you're not working on anything cool, if something's pissing you off, let me know below. Anything. Comments are most welcome. And anyway, much love to you guys. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.